Echoes of Wisdom has so many fun ways to heal yourself, like comatose and salt smoothies. But today, I won't be using any of that, because I'm gonna beat the entire game without taking any damage. If I do get hit, no matter how big or how small, I have to reload to a previous save and try all over again. And as always, no glitches. And this is how that went. Link enters to save the day and immediately catches an axe. I was testing the waters, but then Ganon smacks me with a tennis ball, so we end the tutorial with 2 resets. Maybe a skill issue. Cue the Temple Run soundtrack and Breath of the Echoes. We survive the first Castle Yapathon and get put in prison, where we are joined by everyone's favorite Lemon. He gives us the twisty stick and we make our escape. A bit of sneaking here, a bit of drowning there, and we are released upon the world. A snake jump scares me out of the grass for another reset, but then we reach the first rift and the first dungeon. With a healthy mix of bats, snakes, and Ultra Hand, we skedaddle on through to the first Link fight. We kick his ass, steal his sword, and skedaddle through the rest of the temple. The pile of rocks goes down easy, and that's our first dungeon beat. If you think this challenge is too easy so far, just wait. It'll take a 180 eventually. Follow Blue Hair Girl to Lubury for another Yap Fest and an energy upgrade before getting to pick between 2 more dungeons. I decided on Zora first, and so we scurried to the top of the map, caught a spear to the dome, and scurried some more. On the journey, we got the Sword Moblin level 2 Echo, which would be an important figure in this entire run. Finally, we arrived in the wetlands, met Stamp Guy, as any sane person would, and got on with the quest. We talked to both the petty chiefs, during which the unskippable cutscenes got slightly tiring. Just doing entertaining things while I wait 5 hours for this cutscene to be over, since I can't skip anything! We witnessed a kidnapping and finally got on to saving people. I headbutted a fish and lost for reset number 5, but eventually we had saved and reconciled both chiefs. They played the music, we slapped the fish, and it was time for our second dungeon. Everything went well with the side of water tornadoes until the shark, which was a necessary echo to get, but cost another reset. Everything else was fairly routine, except getting shot, but soon enough we reached another boss. Let's not act like the shrimp was gonna damage me, come on. And out we go, 2 dungeons down. We scurried to the other end of the map for the Gerudo story. We did some talking in the town and had our 3 first objectives. Those went by super fast, as did the pre-dungeon rift saving. I watched a cold-blooded murder and was allowed into the sanctum. Did a couple chores and it was time for dungeon number 3. Immediately was violently smacked by a floor tile for another reset, but figured out they can't really do much to a wall. Played Leaf Blower Simulator until we reached another Link fight, this time for his bow. Turns out he's a pretty good shot because he cost me another reset, but eventually our mugging was successful. With our new bow in hand, this dungeon was a cakewalk, and we reached the bear with wings, which I was quite honestly afraid of. But turns out if you play this game properly, and I didn't my first playthrough, this fight is actually child's play. With the Gerudo saved, upcoming was the Hyrule Castle dungeon, and more specifically, Ganon. But that's a problem for 30 minutes in the future. For now, we head over to Lubury for a group Yap-Sesh before making our way to the castle. We started strong, getting cut in half before even getting to the dungeon, but after, by using a valuable technique of running, we were able to reach the rift and then the dungeon. Saw my dad's lifeless body before failing a stealth section and consequently being skewered. Then it was Impa's lifeless body before getting what I call spider mugged. Those spiders then felt my unfiltered wrath. I got Kinky Ball Chain Dude and I reached Ganon's private suite where he would surely rail me. And that he did. Over the course of my 10 resets in this fight, which was far more frustrating than you would think, I learned a few things. Close game is not my game, tennis is not for me, and fire bats are actually heat-seeking missiles in disguise. But soon enough, with a little luck and learning, this fight was over with. And we don't need to spend that much time on it because it gets so much worse from here. I cleaned the castle, talked to Dad, and I was on my way again with new objectives in mind. I decided to do the Goron Rift first, but I had to deal with more important matters firsthand. Catsuit. Okay, now that we did the important stuff, we can save lives. Although the journey was treacherous, we soon reached Goron City. In the process of saving the town, we got hit by whatever this thing is, but then all was well. This stupid-ass child started crying, and the chief had a stale identity crisis, but eventually we got to play the game again. Did a DoorDash delivery for lazy bums, misjudged my vertical and paid for it in a reset, abused Lizalfos, and finally we were done with the measly chores. Smashed a portrait, and now we were on our way to success. Reached the rift and got pushed into incineration for reset number 25. A quarter of 100 resets. What's a foreshadowing? Arrived at the dungeon and got bombed and cooked for a few more resets before reaching the final Link fight. Luckily, this fight was a nice easy break and we me gained another piece. The rest of the dungeon followed the same theme, and we got to the boss room quite easily. That being said, the boss would not go down the same. The start of this fight was nothing special, but once he started taking a bath, we had issues because my ranged echoes shot rocks that did almost no damage. So we died 6 times from his bathtub to his spirit bombs, but eventually, after some very slow and long attempts, this dungeon was over. Surely the next will be easier. With nothing to really cover in between, we decided to do the Mount Lanayru dungeon next, which involved a long and treacherous climb, which was harmless, but the snowmen at the top were not. ×2. Conde showed us around his penthouse, and the blizzard eventually stopped, letting us advance towards the dungeon. On the way, we found an ice whiz rope, an important tool, but nonetheless an annoying fight for a reset. Afterwards, I was frozen thrice in a random cave on my journey, but I had eventually reached the top, even with my battle scars. Conde got smacked, so we chased his attacker into the next dungeon. On top of this dungeon taking so long, we got 5 more resets until we reached the mini boss. And you best believe me when I say this stupid booger is the second hardest fight in this entire game. Because although it made me take 1 less reset than Ganon did, its constant spawn of mini boogers was close to putting me in a psych ward. No, die. And I won't even try to lie. I only made it out of this fight because I got lucky on some RNG after upgrading my sword for this fight specifically. And with 1 more reset to a laser, this nightmarishly long temple was finally down to just its boss, who, after the booger, could have never been that bad. The Yeti made me reset 3 times, but it was really just me playing a bit wrong, and with Wizrobes of Fire and Ice, this fight's pretty easy. We sat through a backstory I totally didn't know, and finally pressed towards our final dungeon. I got hit by spiderwebs and mystery gas before helping the forest drug addiction, which of course logically placed me in prison. The sneaking sequence was over before it even started though, and I got my sticky rod back before escaping into the well and getting my club card upon my escape, permitting me access to the dungeon. As opposed to the other dungeons, this one's mini boss really wasn't that terrible, but the confusing and dangerous temple provided me 6 more resets over my time in it. Goma also was all too simple, and for a change, a boss didn't give me any resets. With that done, we had finally completed every dungeon and had our identity stolen to set the final piece of the story into motion. That being said, they can take my identity, but not my swanky cat suit, so we woke up with murder on our mind and headed for the Eternal Forest to whoop some ass. With some creative elevator technique, we made it, but before the story, we had to get 1 echo, the Lionel. This was no easy task, aka the Lionel chewed my ass 4 times before I completely ran away from him for like 10 minutes, waiting for his inevitable demise. With my new atomic bomb in my pocket, we could finally continue on with the story once again. We played Orb Scavenger Hunt with little to no difficulty, and then talked to a big tree who would bring us down to see our evil twin, who conveniently handed us our piece of the Triforce before making us chase them through a multicultural version of hell. For a pro like me, however, this was no issue, and I glided my way on through to the second last boss of the entire game. Let's be real, this fight's way too easy. 1 reset later, my evil twin turned tail, and it was time to begin the Null Conquest. I gave Link his weapons back, even if I didn't want to, and we moved into Null's cell membrane. This was fairly okay. I forgot most of the puzzles, and took a reset on one of the fights there, but although it took some time, it was eventually done. Time for notes, everybody. First, look at this time. Remember it. Second, look at these resets. Remember this number. I say to remember because both of these things will be subject to dramatic change. Continue. I faced my first Null fight and lost, expectedly. I knew I was gonna take some damage on the final boss. Let's be real here. What I didn't know was that every single time I died in this fight, I would have to redo the entire pre-puzzle sequence just for 1 more chance at fighting Null. So if I die on this brutal ass final boss, I would have to go through multiple cutscenes, do a combat challenge, blow up this light, do another combat challenge, do this slow elevator, fly across 2 full segments, and build Link this annoying ass mechanism just for a singular chance at winning. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have to do it every time, trust me, it can get redundant. Now keep that in mind while we shift our focus to this ugly piece of garbage. He has 3 phases. The first, he shoots homing attacks and spawns acid pools. Then he makes me swim, where I need to watch my air levels, damage output, and dodge roughly 700 whirlpools. And in his third and final phase, he has all of his abilities from phase 1, plus he can spawn multiple of every boss to do their signature attacks, and he can summon his own echoes to chase me. Does this sound hard? It should, because it is. It's worse than hard. It's 18 resets before my break hard. Yes, you heard me. I was getting so frustrated, I took a 45-minute break to not slam my head into a wall. 18 resets sound small until you realize that the puzzles take at least 10 minutes, then the boss itself takes another good 10 or so, making each attempt somewhere from 15 to 20 minutes long. But all hope was not lost. I returned from my break with a fresh mind and managed to somewhat not lose my shit as fast this time. I just got jammed in a bad spot. I'm playing really bad. I still reset another 11 times, which was multiple hours of attempts, but on the fated attempt number 102, I had my chance, and I truly can't justify my excitement any way other than showing you. I've reached inner peace like Po from Kung Fu Panda. If I go right and then he brings out Ganon, that's an instant loss. I'm afraid that they're gonna switch up and go after me next. I keep missing the arms. I really can't afford to do that right now. Help! 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 Swing at the goddamn arm, you idiots! First one swings up there, then I go high, then I stick wall, then I go low, then I go side, then I go low. Yes! Link, get that fucking arm! Come on, Link, this is your time. This is your time. This is your only chance. Yes, beat the shit out of it! Kill it! Kill it now! Is that it? Go, 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 go! Yes! I've never been more happy, more euphoric in my entire life! Yes! So finally, after 102 resets and the better part of 17 hours, about 6 being spent on the final boss alone, this challenge was over. Thank you to all who watched the streams of this challenge, and of course, thank you to you for watching it in its entirety.